Okay. Um, you know, with time, I'm experiencing more and more fatigue and lack of motivation and energy. This is because of the consistent psychological and mental breakdown, on top of the physical destruction of my organs. Um, the inability to eat as much as I need to, digestive system not working at the best. Um, I can feel my joints from all parts not functioning right. Uh, and on top of that, being depleted with these psychological tormenting tactics that just fatigues you, breaks you down, and takes away your motivation and your strength, your mental strength. And so right now, functioning is not the easiest. I really have to kind of push myself more than ever, and getting out of bed and like it's just so hard to have that motivation because what they do is continuously breaking you down, which is going to deplete you. It's taking your energy. To find strength is getting tougher, but you got to understand, this is a dignified thing for you. That's the way I have to look at this. I've been so dignified by seeing things for what they are. And this fantasy, this BS they try to create, this painted reality to counter the reality of what this is about, is um, is what it is. All kind of people participate. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be an elite of any sort. But everybody can participate. But let me start with the beginning. This is 2024. My name is not going to be said, but I identify as a TI, a target individual. What does it mean? What is TI? What is target individual is? It means that we are human subjects, and the Department of Defense technology is utilized onto us in order to develop this technology. With that being said, this technology does so much to you, like I said, physically and psychologically. This technology can destroy your organs remotely. Um, Directed energy is definitely utilized to do certain things to you, to radiate you, to microwave you, and other remote technology of that nature is being utilized onto you. But also, some of the technology is the ability to manipulate thoughts. They have this technology that have the ability to hook you to some device. I believe it's maybe microwave related or some kind of microwave or something like that, of that type of technology that capture the signal of your brain, and once all of those have been captured, they can um, connect you to this device that now can overlay any thoughts, any perceptions, any reaction. Basically, start being controlled. It's extremely sophisticated. I believe the terminology, as what I'm saying is, of this, what I'm describing, is called synthetic telepathy and V2K. This is absolutely very, very advanced technology and deriving from DARPA. Now, with that being said, this program that we put in as target individuals consists of the complete destruction of our life and being observed what this is happening. We are like data samples for this to look at the efficiency and how this technology is impacting and how to improve and tweak the manipulations, the torment, and basically we are guinea pigs. This is obviously funded by the Department of Defense. This type of financial aspect, this ability to have this amount of resources cannot be contributed or attributed to any other entity that has that kind of funding, that kind of technology, and that kind of reach that is global. But with that being said, we are, as target individual, they have these tactics that are also inclusive of the intelligence community is obviously involved in that. We talk about the CIA. CIA, if you go into their track record, they are the architecture, the starters of programs that is meant to control and manipulate the brain. We all know about MK Ultra. That was in the 50s. Now, obviously, they're involved in that because they have this expertise. But now, with the DoD funding and the DoD technology, we're talking about another level. So, these intelligence community tactics are also applied CIA. And so for us, how is applied on top of like the manipulation, they have these ways of doing things that very much shows the fingerprints of those intelligence community. One thing they do is we are surrounded by perps. Initially, I used to get gang stalk, but it doesn't mean much anymore. It's just like it's so absolute at this point. I mean, this technology does so much to you that the gang stalking harassment is almost like nothing. You just don't even care about it anymore because you worry about much bigger things, and it's this technology. But what they do is even now they try to consistently do that, which is I don't understand why it's not gonna work, in the sense that I'm never gonna see the things they want me to see. Um, they want you to believe, right? They have these people around you. They create this thing called psyops. It's like a facade. They want you to believe that this is anything but a large government doing this thing to you. But start creating these psyops, these facades, these retardations of facade that is obviously nonsensical. But within this bubble of isolation that you're in, and the ability, these people have the ability to manipulate your brain, you start to think like this. But of course, dismiss these retardations of of um, of of psyop, right? Um, they contract people, and you hear them say the same repetitive things to disorient you, to distort reality, and to maintain the deception that they want to maintain, which is not even maintained because it's not being subscribed to. At this point, it's just them saying things just to agitate me or disorient me. I know the government is running this program, and I know their bottom feeders working for these entities. It's obvious. Now, what they try to make it look like, they make it look like that this is a group of fierce femme fatale, these protectors, avengers, and they're there to avenge. And matter of fact, this is their program, but these government entities are like supporting them, and it's because it's their program, but this government entities are supporting their movement. It's extremely delusional, the retarded. I'm not even gonna try to call it anything else, but basically childlike ways of creating this like fantasy of reality. And because of that, there's a bunch of like, I'm not even calling them women, as some of them are not actually women, but female, who have acted a certain ways that is so clown-like because you understand the reality of what they're part of. They try to make it seem like they're doing it for this person, for that person, and you're gonna pay for that. One thing at this point, target individuals have been very vocal, and you have heard the testimonials of all kinds of target individuals. Some of them are children being tortured, but a lot of the testimony you hear a lot of testimonials of women who identify as target individuals who are going through the same things I'm going through, and the horrible things they go through are unspeakable. They are being tortured in the foulest, most disturbing ways, and even have called out the fact that there's a lot of females involved in this, and what kind of female would do this? Do that to another woman. You're not even a woman. All of that has been clearly testified. Those testimonials are there. Their job is to counter that. Is to maintain the psyop, to block out the reality that human subjects of all gender, of all ages, are being utilized for this purpose of developing this technology and developing this program. There's a lot of women and people who would be talking about how they are avenging would not be involved in a program where women are being tortured in ways that you can't even understand. But in fact, if there's such things as femme fatale or as this fierce woman, they would be the type who would go against this trash doing these things to me. They would be the type who would try to protect these women that are being destroyed and tormented. They will not participate in a program where women and even children are being tortured in the ways that you can't even understand. They are the counter of femme fatale. They are cowards, low-life female. They are trash. They have involved themselves in something that does some of the foulest thing you can imagine. But they wanted to create that psyop. And so because the humiliation of reality, for example, listen to the kind of things they do to women. This is the horrible things they do to women.
Experiences, including my reactions and responses, rocking, swaying, jolt. The torture was. They also often forced vaginal all over my knees and hands when hitting the hard floor. Then once on the floor, I would be attacked so severely, nearly to the point of passing out and rolling my eyes to the back of my head in such excruciating agony for many, many hours on a regular, nearly daily basis. The nature and level of extreme torture I have experienced for the past 3 years is simply indescribable. Not even the video recordings could truly capture the internal experience, especially when the torture involves both physical and mental psychological factors and the direct manipulation of my internal experiences, including my reactions and responses to the torture. The Polish Minister of Defense later retracted all his statements, denying the existence of electronic assault crimes. The nature of the torture I have been experiencing has been highly sexual in nature and highly perverted, involving many combinations of sensory and motor manipulation of my mind and body and of the people around me. This includes many different types of zaps to varying degrees to the genitals, butt, anus, and the entire pelvic area. This also includes many kinds of movements, such as the rocking, swaying, jolting, vibrating, and shaking of my entire body or various body parts, specifically in a sexual way. The severe vibration is a highly noxious stimuli and is very intolerable. They sometimes do pulses or throbbing sensations on the genitals too, etc. There are also body movements such as rocking my pelvic area back and forth, repeated rubbing sensations, the sensation of something going up my crotch and in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme.
It goes on, but you have the idea of what they do to women. And as I'm listening to that via V2K, which is voice to skull, you hear these people who wanting to keep that side up, and they tell me how they're going to be torture me, they're going to do these things to me and all that, just to counter what you're hearing. Because what you hear is the terrible nastiness of what they do to women. How they destroy women, how they rape them using this technology, how they fry them, how they push them to experience these disgusting reactions and the agony of the torture they go through. Now, any femme fatale will never go into this thing, in the sense that this is what a femme fatale will go fight for. And the reality, the people that is doing this thing to me, that try to create this psyop, are just nasty cowards who wanted to enjoy what this program can provide, these incentives of some sort. But on top of that, it gives them this empowerment. You see people who in their life lack confidence, have perhaps mental instabilities, but once involved in this, participate in this, it boosts their confidence because it empowers them. The ability to do so much to a target individual, to a human subject, using this sophisticated technology, or involving in this program that utilize some of the latest technology on Earth. Meaning that we talk about DARPA technology. These people find this empowerment in their fragile state of mind. And so they love these things because of that empowerment. But if anybody needs to be avenged, if anybody needs to be reimbursed, these people will be the first on this list for the torture, the torment of so many women and children. And some people, some of this trash involving this Perps, what disturbed me, and they want to just agitate you. They're like, no, this is my first time involving myself in this program. They're saying this is the first time they involve themselves in a program which happens to torture a lot of women and children. But for me, they're avenging. They join this program that does these horrible, destructive things to women and children to avenge. And they dare to do that. You understand the level of delusionality these trash are. Now, testimonials of women all around the world have been heard in different languages. They're speaking about horrible things that happens to them. They're crying, they're begging for help. And so it's easy to understand that, okay, well, this is what they do to all kind of people. And you have to understand why they do this. The purpose is to obviously improve and develop this technology. And so they need men, women, and children as sample bases, as databases, to continuously improve this program. And they continuously create these tactics of breaking you down. But one thing is happening while I'm speaking right now, because as a target individual, they want you to be in the state of delusional reality that they've put together, this bubble. And so as I'm speaking right now, they tell me how they're going to torture me, like I said. And they're being descriptive of how they're going to be framing me, they're raping me. And they're saying that not to keep me aware of it. It's because they were trying to counter what I'm saying. Because what I'm saying exposes the reality that these people do these things to the most vulnerable people. And this is a program run by the government. And it is the nastiest thing you can imagine. And these governmental entities have a lot of issue, which I'm going to say in a few minutes. But what they've done to people, including children, are things that perhaps needs to be handled in ways that maybe this earth doesn't have. They wanted to create this psyop where you see them as this like fierce, avenging femme fatale. The reality, they are coward, lowlife, trash, cruel, female trash. And these men, of course, this is just the psyop they were trying to create. The psyop is not subscriptive to. But their cruelty is done in a coward way, and is done to women and children. With me, the humiliation of what you just heard makes it seem that now they have to compensate for it. You heard some horrible things here. What do you think happens to individual involved in a program that does this to women, but to you wanting to present themselves as this femme fatale, fierce group of individual who are just like avenging? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to try to compensate by creating a theater of torture. a theatrical aspect of torturing people, because the torture that they do to women, the way they destroy their life, agonizing ways of torture, a long, slow death, destroying everything, making them lose teeth, losing their mind, being raped on a daily basis, being fried, radiated, destroy their family, their children for years. Discussing things. I mean, you heard the testimonial. And that happens to even older women. What do you think they're going to do? The compensation to compensate for that, to counter that reality, that they do these horrible things to women, but still want to present themselves as this like fierce femme fatale. They're going to create a torture, a theater of torture, to make it seem like, to block out the truth of what they're part of, and who needs to be tortured in ways that maybe is none even on this earth, is these people participating in this, regardless if it's their first time or the millionth time. Because this is what the program does. This is not unique to these people. These people are not, there's not an individual here who is responsible for me being put in this program. Matter of fact, the people who put me in this program are the extreme conservative of this country. So conservative that the psyop that I'm experiencing now is perhaps due to that. The people who put me here are extremely conservative, that they donated money to some of the backward policies you can imagine. We talk about Roe versus Wade being flipped. They donated a lot of money, noticeably significant amount of money, and now we go to some places in Texas, all Texas, and other countries and other states, no abortion in 2024. They donated money to somebody who allegedly, when he was 35 years old, picking up kids as young as 14 years old. These people have been unable or restricted to say the name of this person. I say that all the time. I say his name all the time. What they do is to try to maintain their fierceness. When saying his name, they try to say it. Well, they say it in ways that I'm not sure if they say his name or not. My point is, they still even try to maintain fierceness when you can see the pure cowardness and the reality of what they're part of. And it's just disgusting. Before I move on to something else that's disgusting, I want you to listen to how nasty they are and the reality. The testimonials of women have clearly shown me that these people really don't care too much about women, but they care about participating and feel special in this program, because this is what they're involved in.
You feel that you've been injustice? You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me? Well, in terms of your being a victim. You mean what I'm feeling? Yeah, explain a little bit to me. How do you perceive yourself as being? I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, how do I know you didn't do that to yourself? How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations. Not 1, but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question? I'm trying to find what's the source of the source of these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2970 that if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women.
So it's clear that a lot of women are being destroyed. And, she mentioned there the Department of Defense because, of course, this is where it's coming from. The psyops are just meant to create some kind of, like confusion and create this false reality. And they do horrible things to the most vulnerable. You heard the testimonials. There's so many testimonials of that nature, and they're nasty. Every time things like that are heard, they try to counter that. It's like, no, it's not real. Okay. Then you hear them saying, oh, they're going to rape you, they're going to do this and that, because what they're doing here, they are telling me how they're going to frame me, which validates me in regard of what kind of people they are. They say they're going to frame me, and interestingly enough, they're going to say that they're going to frame me in a way that's perhaps typical of the world they're in. Like I said, it's obvious the Department of Defense is running this program. It's obvious that the program that they're running, they're the one running it, or they have this strong involvement. I know the Department of Defense is the one entity that has this level of technology and funding. Now, the expertise can also derive from different agencies, and for sure, CIA is also involved in it. Now, the way they say they're gonna frame me, they tell me that either they're gonna implant child porn. Let me repeat that: they're gonna implant child porn on my computer. And every time they say this thing, usually they like to say, "Are we there?" Which is disgusting. And I'm gonna say why. It's more disgusting than what you think. Yes, child porn is disturbing, but coming from them is another level of disturbing because of a pattern that's been ongoing for years. But another thing they say is they've been framing me and make it seem like I've been doing something to some kid here. In this program, you're gonna hear a lot of targeters say that there's children involved in it too, like teenage kids, even younger, saying things, going through the repetitions. Matter of fact, in one of the testimonial or somebody, he said he thought that the people involved in it was like a 14-year-old next door. And let me just kind of give you an idea of what they try to create. And this is based on Robert Duncan testimonial. So it's not testimonial, but interview. He had a podcast where he
So they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
So they have these tactics of creating psyops, trying to confuse you in ways that make you not think of things clearly, in the sense that obviously this is a DoD type of program based on the technology. Matter of fact, you can see pure like documentation that the technology that is implemented on us comes from like DoD entities. And so they tell me how they're gonna frame me, and like I said, they utilize children too in this program in these disgusting ways where, parents, everybody wants to enjoy these incentives. I'm sure we're talking about DoD kind of incentives, so it's a lot of money. Extremely, I mean, abnormally up there. So it almost seems like it's like limitless funding, and that is just anybody who want to participate, just even for that reason. And so you see parents using their own children, and so the people living around me, some neighbors, are saying that uh, they're gonna say that I was with this kid. That was so nasty, and they're gonna set things up around that way. I mean, they have control of my phone, and they can do whatever they want. They can make things look any way they want, and really, you're powerless in that regard because you're against governmental entities that can do whatever, right? And while they do these things, they tell themselves like, "No, you're gonna now we pay for that." They make it sound like that. You heard what they do to women, right? And children. These people involved in this program, while trying to hype themselves up, involved in this program, and talking about framing me. These people involved in these horrible things you just heard, and this is not all of it. You can clearly hear some sexual torture of children using this technology. Horrible things. They torture children in ways that you cannot understand. So as they hype themselves up, that no, you pay, we're doing that. They try to kind of hype themselves up, make themselves believe that these people are doing it to avenge somebody. You know, some of the case of the torture they've done is torturing 3-week-old babies, 3-year-old children, sexually torturing a 3-year-old. That's what they're involved in. This is the program that they're involved in. This is the trash telling me they're gonna make me pay. Involved in a program that does these horrible things. And they hype themselves up. You can see them like boosting their false anger. Oh, now you pay. Because they do this to try to stop the fact that I know what they really do to women and children. They think that they can overwhelm me with this false emotion while I'm gonna block out the fact that they torture children in this program. Anybody who has emotion, true emotion, about what they've done and what they're involved in, should be me. Because the horrible things you're gonna hear is things that you believe is like in like third world country human rights testimonials. I mean, they use this defense technology onto like 7-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 3-year-old, 3-week-old, with horrible torture. But they want to come in and make me forget about that. It's like, no, now you pay. And they talk about certain things, even me as a kid in middle school, a dumb thing I did as a child. Were they involved in a program that tortured children? It's like, no, now you pay. Can you imagine? You yourself are involved in a program that is destroying life of children of all ages. But you want this person to forget about that and make him think about his stupid, dumb action of a middle school kid. In middle school, having to exaggerate whatever they need to exaggerate to block the reality of what they're part of, because these people actually torture children. The abuses are not only sexual, psychological, physical. I mean, let me give you a sample.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I was observed One day I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also worked with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister, who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. Then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again.
So you
In
hear.
other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "ow," while looking.
So you hear this. This is what they do to children. Now, you hearing this, the emotion that you will have, knowing that these people doing these things to you are involved in the program that does this to children, would be an emotion of anger, real anger, not falsified anger, not like anger where you make yourself now you're pain. Involved in this. So as they create these frames, they hype themselves up and try to block out the reality of what these people do. They do horrible things to women and children. And the truth is, in having that knowledge should just add aggression to you instead of the other way around. And so they tell me how they're gonna frame me, and they're like, no, today you're paying, while they're involved in these horrible things to children, doing these things to children. They're nasty low life, and some of them, the way how they try to counter that is like, no, but I didn't do that. It's like, you're involved in this. The reason why you're capable of doing these things to me is because you're involved in this program, and you know that, and you're enjoying a program that does this thing to children. Then create this deluded reality. They're like, no, I dare. You dare to involve yourself in a program that does these horrible things to children. To make me pay for the stupid thing I did as a kid. You think I'm going to let you be this deluded? These people are pedophilia centric. Disgusting. The way they torture children is horrible. But it doesn't end there. One tactic they like to do is using this disturbing manipulation of thoughts. You're going to hear a lot of target individuals saying that as state of thoughts have changed, they force us to get manipulated to experience things. Every time I look at a child, I'm going to be forced to get a reaction. Stimulations, sensations, some kind of reaction of that nature. Perceptions, thoughts are going to be manipulated. It's nasty. It's called the pedophilia type of torture. At least I'm calling it too the same way that somebody else has called it, and I think it makes sense because it is pedophilia centric and it's torture. So it's pedophilia type of torture. And this torture is psychologically tormenting and draining and disorienting, and it's hard to function because it's all the time. All the time. It's been a nasty, that is probably the worst thing out of all the torture. That's the worst. It's the most handicapping, in a way that it's so hard to function when dealing with that. And you got to be strong. You know, it just changes everything. Everything around you just changed, and you lose your mind. I almost thought about killing myself, and actually wrote a suicide letter because of that. I was like, I'd rather die than be something I'm not. And today, now you become stronger, but still it's just so disturbing. It just drains you. And this is not unique to me. Like I said, they do these tactics of tormenting a target individual the same way they've done to others. I've been vocal in knowing that they do that to others. But what disturbs me is, lately I found out something. Well, actually, it's been a year or so knowing that. Actually, more than a year, in 2022. I found out about the issue that's ongoing in these agencies, specifically starting off with the U.S. The intelligence agencies, like CIA specifically. It's been a pattern of issue with pedophilia, child abuse images, and things of that nature were consistently seen on this agent's computer, on CIA computers. And it's just, the question is like, why is there so many pedophiles in these agencies? How come they are letting so many CIA agents be involved in this program when they pedophiles? Be involved in these agencies, because the background check, they check everything. You understand? We talk about very confidential stuff, and the people they busted were like high rank level, or very confidential information at a top level, with thousands of child porn on the computers, CIA analysts with a bunch of child porn. And it was just disturbing. But I already knew that these people who have these tactics of playing with your brain in these disgusting pedophilia ways are just very pedophilia centric. There's something there. There is a problem with pedophilia, and then I was right. There is something there. There's a problem with pedophilia in these agencies. I didn't know how bad it was, even though I knew it was bad. But one thing they point out, they always try to prove you wrong, right? And they try to use that as a way to get credibility, because then they want to be like, you see, we told you that was that, so it's true, it's you. Because not only they manipulate you to get this nasty pedophilia type of torture, right? They make you experience this nasty experience, but then they want you to identify to this. They want you to identify to this manipulation. They want you to believe that it's you. That you are you. This is you. And then it's like, no, what we're doing is like, we're making you feel the way you felt when you were a kid. We're mapping your brain in this ways. Still nonsensical stuff. We're making me be a child. Then they go into your memories and start changing your memories to make you believe this notion of who they want you to be. So they make you experience, wherever there's a little girl, a little child, get you to have that memory experiencing with a feeling, a sensation that you today are experiencing with. And say, we mapped it. You see, you felt it like that. So this kind of nasty manipulation. The whole purpose is to get you to accept these manipulations as if it's you. But to know that these people who are doing these things to you, contracted by entities where pedophilia is truly a big problem. It's a big problem. It's a serious big problem, in a sense that it's just not just a few people. It's not just a few number of people working in this DOD or the Pentagon having this issue. But this issue is larger than what anybody thought. So I discovered this BuzzFeed article in 2022. It came out December 2021, but I learned about it while I was watching Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, somehow this thing came up, and they're like, hey, did you see this BuzzFeed article? And they're just like talking about the CIA and the pattern of child abuse and child porn and and I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? I go into it, I read that, it's even worse than what I thought. But then In the article, they also call out that this DSS director, who's like um, the cyber like director of cyber security, or director of like the Department of Defense, kept saying that in 2016 he was shocked by the amount of child porn he would see when examining the computers of these governmental entities, of the DoD employees. The amount of child porn he saw there was just nasty. And those are the computers of the government, the DoD computers. I'm not talking about their private, like the employees' private computer, the DoD computers. Now that's very scary. It's alarming. But then they pointed me out, these people specifically, to something that just happened not too long ago. There was a bill called S1413. If you can go look for it, Bill 116th S1413, 116th S1413. This bill was introduced in 2019. This bill was trying to help the Department of Defense with funding and training and any technology that's needed to stop what is happening there. The Department of Defense, ranked by this Internet Child Protective Agency, were ranked the 19th out of 2,900. With the network, the DoD had the network with the most child porn shared within peer-to-peer. Out of 3,000, out of 2,900 actually. Out of 2,900, the DoD is ranked 19. That was in 2018. 19th out of all the other U.S. network. 19th in regards sharing child pornography, peer-to-peer. That is some disgusting thing. This is basically, they were saying they're top tier. Basically, they are the top tier of network with some of the most child porn that are being shared within the network. Top tier. So the purpose of this bill was to try to provide them more resources, training, to help them combat that. First of all, one thing is for sure, the DoD does not like money. The DoD has so much funding that they definitely have the resources to do anything. And the funny part I'm reading there is like the fact that the technology, the DoD right now is working on some of the most sophisticated technology you can even imagine. They can track you in every way possible. You tell me they don't have the resources or the technology to track an employee on the computer of a DoD computer to see if they are downloading child porn on the government computers. But at least I understand that bill, what he did at least is kind of pointing out some issue, and it looked like they tried to create some kind of effort. Now I looked at this bill, and I'm looking at it as like it didn't go through. If you go to S1413, you see this, right? In red, it says dead on 12/31/2020. So I was like, oh my gosh, this didn't even go through. I was shocked because the truth is, I know this will not do anything. But I can see how, at least just for the looks of it, you pass it. Just to make it seem like we're trying to do something about something. Pass this thing is more of a gesture than actually what's going to happen. So I was like, this didn't even pass. This is crazy. And I could hear them like, no, it passed. And me, I'm like, okay, maybe it passed in a different form. Like it passed in a sense that maybe they reintroduced this bill again and then it passed again. But reality is, it passed through a national defense budget like act every year when they renew the budget. This like National Defense Act, and so what they did, instead of like passing this bill by itself, they just put it in this huge bill that is specific to the national defense. right? So they when they say like, okay, we want to update the funding by X billions for healthcare, X billions for this and that, they have this huge defense bill, which is where they put that in that bill, in this bigger bill. So it's no longer its own bill. It's just part of like just this big update in regard of what national defense budget is going to have. So they're going to include training for people, more resources to help with the security or whatever. Even though it's not, they already have the money. So it's just that's how it went through. And so they're like, you see, we told you it passed. I'm like, okay. And now they're like, you see, you see, we're telling you the truth. The reason why they were trying to create, now I recognize what they were trying to do. They were doing this because they wanted to prove me wrong. But by introducing me to this bill, what they showed me is there is a ranking on how pedophilia centric these people are. They are top tier pedophiles. Listen to this. This is what they introduced me to.
Bipartisan bill aims to stop child pornography trafficking on Defense Department's network. Dem Rep-elect. I won't vote for Pelosi. We need new leadership. Washington CNN. A bipartisan group of lawmakers on Tuesday introduced a bill that would crack down on the use of the Department of Defense Internet Network for trafficking child pornography. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement identified over 5,000 individuals, several of whom are affiliated with the Defense Department, who subscribe to child pornography websites in an investigation called Project Flicker. A subsequent inquiry by the Defense Criminal Investigative Service tagged hundreds of Defense Department affiliates as suspects in child pornography cases. According to a news release, the bill, introduced by Rep. Abigail Spanberger, a Virginia Democrat, and Rep. Mark Meadows, a North Carolina Republican, would help the Defense Department stamp out use of its computers and network to access and share child pornography. The legislation would bolster training, improve technical capacities, and require collaboration with both law enforcement and social service providers. Spanberger, a former federal agent who worked on child exploitation and child pornography cases, called the abuse and exploitation of children through pornography horrific crimes. The notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace, and one we must fight head-on, Spanberger said in a statement. According to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked 19th of nearly 3,000 networks surveyed in 2018. Meadows said.
So now I know how serious the pedophilia issues are ongoing in the DoD. Now I don't think the bill is going to change too much of that top tier ranking, but at least it's an effort to try to make it at least look like they're trying to do something. These people are so powerful that they feel no shame in using Department of Defense technology, Department of Defense devices to use child porn, to download child porn. Because the truth is, what they do to us are just disgusting. And so the way these perps are trying to now make themselves like credible toward me is like, no, we told you it passed, and you were like, okay, if it passed, it didn't pass this way. Well, it's true, it didn't pass using S1413. The bill itself did not pass that way, but it passed through just being part of this huge bill about the national defense. And for them, it's like, you see, we passed. We told you it passed. I was like, but I don't care if it passed or it didn't pass. That was not my point. My point is, you just showed me how disturbingly pedophilia-centric the DoD is. I know this thing was, in my mind when they said it passed, I was like, okay, it didn't pass in 2019, probably passed in 2020. Or something like that. It eventually passed, or it will pass, or something like that. I was like, but that's not the point. This passing or not passing this bill doesn't change their ranking. Which shows that there truly is a problem with pedophilia. So these people doing this pedophilia type of torture to us are working for entities where this is the things they need to create to try to stop this issue of pedophilia, which didn't change anything. And so today when they do the pedophilia type of torture, which is what you're going to hear here,
Experience what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of frantic dreams and video.
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. It's disgusting.
When they do this to me, they want me to be like, no, you see, we proved it's you. Because we told you this passed. But when I was making this video about S1413, my point was, this it passed or now pass. And I was shocked that it didn't pass because I knew it's like, this is just more for like, it's not going to change what's happening there. But pass or not pass, top tier child porn sharing between peer to peer. That is the information that I got out of it. The passing or not pass, matter of fact, in my videos, you can hear that me saying like, I'm even surprised it didn't pass. They could have just let it pass this bill and then pretend that, you know, just for the show of it. But it went through, and I've been trying to look at the new ranking of the DoD network in regard of, are they still the top tier, which I know they are, which I know that they're not going to go from 19 in 2018 to like 3,000 or 2, you know. Looking at their ranking in regard of child pornography shared within the DoD network. Because this bill is not going to change that. Because if this was happening, it's because they let it happen. It's not because they didn't have the means to do anything about it. It's because they don't care. Try to do that in any corporate place and use their computer in these disgusting ways. The smallest corporate